Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation of that message, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my story as hidden identity? I have come here. I have my own story that I want to share with you. And my confession, it goes on like this. So I work as a prostitute here in South Africa, and there is something that I came across that still troubles me to this very day. And I want to know from other ladies if they have ever came across such people, and if they are ladies that do sell their bodies. I will be happy to know from them if they have ever come across such a situation. So this is what happened to me. I came to South Africa and I started working as a maid, and the couple that I was working for, they then refused to give me my money. And when I tried to complain, that was when they kicked me out, and they said, you don't even have a passport, but yet you say that you want your money. And then they removed my clothes from their house and they kicked me out. So I did not have anywhere to go to, because I did not even have a relative or anyone that I know here in South Africa. So then I was just by the taxi rank, and there was a taxi driver that came to me and asked me where I was headed to, because it was already getting late and I had been sitting by the taxi rank since somewhere around 4 p.m. And after that man had asked me, I then started to cry, and I told him that I did not know where I wanted to go to because I was from Zim. He then said that if I wanted to sleep with him, he would take me to his house, and then tomorrow morning we would see what is it that we can do. We can make another plan. And then I agreed. I went with that man to his house in the location, and then he slept with me. The next day, he then said that he was going to ask for a friend to help me with some money. And then that man also slept with me because I did not have money, but he gave me money which I used to rent a shack, and I started staying in that shack. He then spoke with other people that I could do piece jobs. So I started doing some piece jobs, usually were piece jobs to wash people's clothes, and I started to survive like that. But since I had already seen that you can sleep with men and men can give you money, I then started to calculate, and I saw that since I was already making money by selling my body, I should do it professionally. I then started to look around, and I saw that there were other two women that were also staying in that same location. They would go to town each and every evening. I then approached one of the women and I asked him what is it that she did for a living. She then told me that she was a prostitute, and people did not know that she was a prostitute. I then told the lady that I also wanted to become a prostitute, and she said it's fine, we can go together. So at night she would call me, and then I would go with them, and we would sell our bodies in town. And as I was selling my body, that was when I was picked by this other guy. So this guy that picked me, Brother Nashi, he then went with me to his house. When we arrived at his house, we were supposed to do like romance, since we had already spoken and he had already paid me for that. And when I tried to touch him, he refused. So in the morning, after we had made love, that was when I realized that this man, he had some white things that were having discharge that were coming out, and these things, they were like pimples all over his manhood. Starting from underneath the balls, there were these big pimples, and these pimples, they were full of white stuff that was coming out. I asked him if he had given me an STI. He then said, no, it is not an STI. I can never sleep with a woman when I have an STI. This man, he was very rich. He told me that these things, they started to come out after his wife had passed away. So he started to sleep with the wife's mother, and when he started to sleep with the wife's mother, a week after the wife had passed away, that was when he saw the ghost of his wife. And the wife later came to him in the evening, and when the wife came to him in the evening, that was when the next morning he saw those things that were on his private parts. So this is the story that he told me. I don't know if it is the truth or if it is not the truth. I want to hear from other people, especially women, those ones that sell their bodies. Have you ever come across such a situation where you meet a man that has all of these things that come out of his private parts? And this man, he made me to suck his manhood throughout the night. But what surprises me is that at night I did not see anything, because we did everything not in the dark, but we did everything like in the light. I should have seen that there are things on his manhood, but I did not even see anything. So this is my confession, my brother. Please, I am begging you, can you post this story so that your listeners can hear and they can tell me what did I see on that man's manhood. Your dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear sister, who is saying that she is a prostitute, and this is what she came across. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Maybe it is a curse, since you said that he slept with his wife's mother a week after the wife had passed away. Maybe it is a curse, who knows? But let us try to speak with him in the comment section. Then there is another message that I received as well. The message, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my story as hidden identity? I have come here because I have my own confession that I want to share with you, and my confession, it goes on like this. So I started by being a taxi driver, and I started to own my own taxis, and I bought 2 buses as well as buying a truck. So when one of my friends told me that being in the trucking industry, you cannot be in the trucking industry, then you do not have a tokoloshi, I thought that he was lying, but I found the hard way that when you are in the trucking industry, you need to have tokoloshis that can assist you. Otherwise, you won't be able to make any money at all. So this is what happened to me. I started by being a truck driver. After I had taken a driver's license in our family, I was the first one to ever be able to drive a car. All of my brothers, they were working as gardeners in Harare, the village from where we come from. It is a village which is in Mutoko. That is where our family is. And then I came to Harare with my brothers. Then we started to work in Harare. When we were working in Harare, then I saved some money, and then I started to apply for a driver's license, and I got one. So then I got a job. After I had gotten a job, then that was when I started working as a taxi driver. And the man that I was working for, it was very hard to work for him. And by then I had a family. I said, now that I have a family, I don't need to work for such a stingy man, because my family, they will suffer, because sometimes they would even lack food. I would be unable to provide food for them. So I said, what do I have to do here? I said, let me try to find another plan. So it then happened that there was another man who told me that he wanted to sell his taxi and he was offering me a condition which they call rent to buy. So which means that I would take the taxi from him without giving him any money. Then each and every week we had to agree the amount that I was supposed to give to him, like on a weekly basis. I then took the taxi from him. The moment that I took the taxi, it was like I had brought a curse into my life, because no matter how hard I tried to hustle, what we used to do as taxi drivers, these police roadblocks, in the morning when you go past a roadblock, you speak with the police and then you give them something so that you can work throughout the day. So this is what you do in the taxi industry. So I had been doing this for many years. So after I had taken that taxi, I started operating, and in the morning I would give the people that would be by the roadblock, the police, the money. But when I come back, they will still demand money from me, and when I return back to town, they would say that they want more money from me. So I ended up working really for nothing. I was just working for the police. So each and every week when I was supposed to go and cash in the money, I would find out that I do not have enough money. This went on for the whole year. I was unable to pay up for the taxi as we had agreed when we signed. And then the man, he then started to tell me that he was thinking about taking his taxi from me, and I had already wasted 1 year and I had been paying him. I then said, okay, if you take your taxi back, then what happens to me? Because we had an agreement. He then said that the agreement that we had, I did not honor that agreement, so therefore he was going to take his taxi and I was not going to get any cent in return. This was quite terrible. I do not want to lie to you, because I kept on thinking about all the money that I had lost because I had paid him some money. So he then gave me a grace period of 1 month in which I was supposed to pay him. If I failed to pay him, then what he was going to do was that he was going to come and take his taxi. I then said, what am I going to do here? Because I am not going to find this money. I was so stressed at that time. I then went and I spoke with this other friend of mine. So this friend of mine, he was also a taxi driver. His parents, they had came from Malawi, but they migrated from Harare. They went and they built their house in the rural areas. This was in Chipinge. So I just wanted advice, and then he told me that unless if I had a tokoloshi, there was no way that I was ever going to survive in the taxi business not having any tokoloshi, because he said that some of the people that you work with, they will be having tokoloshis, and when you do deals with them, then it means that those tokoloshis, they will end up affecting your business. I then said, what am I going to do? He told me that this was the reason as to why he had no desire to be a taxi owner. He said this was the reason why he had refused to accept that deal, because that same man who ended up renting the taxi to me, he also had spoken with my friend and he had refused. So he told me that he had no desire whatsoever to become a taxi owner, because he knew that without you having tokoloshis, you were never going to survive. So I said, but I am already in this situation. I have already lost a year and I have to make this work. Please help me. So he then said, okay, we will go and we will see my parents. They will assist you. We then went to Chipinge. We spoke with his parents and they told me that they were waiting for a traditional healer. That traditional healer came. When the traditional healer came, Brother Nashim, this traditional healer, he was assisting other people. It was not only me whom he was assisting. And when my time came, I was then told that in order for me to become rich, I was supposed to sacrifice people that would be in my taxi, and those people will die in an accident. This was the only way that I was ever going to own many taxis, and if I was going to do that, then I was going to become a rich man. When I took time to respond to him, he then said that since you have taken too much time to respond, I want you to go outside and think about it, because I have other people that I still need to assist. So I went outside and I started thinking about it. I did not want to accept, because I knew that this meant that I would be having blood on my hands. And when this traditional healer called me back into his consulting room, he then asked me what I had decided to do, and I told him that I had decided to accept his offer. He explained it to me that I was going to lose this taxi, for it was going to have such a terrible accident such that it won't be repaired, but I was going to buy more taxis, so I should not even worry like that. So when I heard that I was going to lose the taxi in an accident, I was worried, but he told me that I would own many taxis. So I then returned back to Harare with the charms that I had gotten, and I was told that for a month I was never supposed to use that taxi, so it was just staying at home. That was part of the ritual, that my taxi, it was not supposed to be operated for the entire month. So after a month, that was when I looked for a driver, because I did not want to be involved in an accident, for I knew that this taxi, it was going to be involved in a terrible accident. And I was told that this accident that it was going to be involved in, it would be so terrible that anyone that was going to hear about that accident was going to feel so sorry for the people that had died in that accident. And I was told that each and every person that would be feeling sorry for the people that would have lost their relatives, then it meant that I was the one that was going to make a lot of money out of that. So I then looked for a driver. After I had looked for a driver, then we started operating on the Marondera Mutare route from Harare and returning back to Harare. So the day when the accident happened, this was on a rainy day. I was in town. I was the one that loaded my own taxi. I loaded my taxi, and I made sure that when I loaded the taxi, it was loaded overload. This was what I wanted, so that the driver can be blamed. When it was overloaded, then I told the driver that he can now go on his way. He then started driving and he went, and I quickly returned to my friend's place, because that was the only place where I could have the freedom to perform the rituals which I needed to perform. When I returned to my friend's house, I then sat in front of the wall. Whilst I was sitting in front of the wall, I then possessed the body of my driver, and I was the one now who was driving that taxi. As I was driving the taxi, I then started to overspeed. The people that were in the taxi, they started to complain. They begged the taxi driver to just limit the speed and to obey the rules of the road, but he was under the possession of a demon, and I was the one that was possessing him. And he started telling people that if they did not want to be on the taxi, they could get off from the taxi, and everyone was so scared, everyone who was in that taxi, because of what was happening. So when I saw that I could now cause an accident, I then overtook this other car that was in front of me, and when I did this, I did it in a risky way. And when I overtook, there was a car that was coming from the opposite direction. I crashed into the car. All the people that were in that car that was coming from the opposite direction, they all passed away. and they all died at the spot. And the people also that were in my taxi, a lot of them, they perished. So I did this, and then I left my driver's body, and the possession was over soon after the car had crashed. So this is what I did, Brother Nashi. From there on, my businesses, they started to run properly. There was no problem at all. I did not experience any problems whatsoever soon after that. And I was able to buy a truck. I bought a bus, and life was okay to this very day. So those are the sacrifices that I did. When you post, you will tell me. I'll be following through in the comment section. Dear listeners, right, there was a message that was sent to me by one of our